section of finance and economies. Okay, and it's going to discuss it is interesting, to be honest, but it is one of the most technical sections of this magazine. Okay, like for example, if a person who's a layman who has not much idea about the global politics, geopolitics, international relations, and all, etc., he at the end of the day will be able to grasp the gist of the different political articles that we discussed earlier in this video. But in this particular section, finance and economy, the things are quite complex, quite technical, and you may have to, Google things again and again, Google terms again and again. What does it mean by deflation, consumer deflation, why consumer deflation is bad, or how the bond markets, what is a bond market, what are securities and all. If you do not have a finance background or an accounting background, you will have trouble. You may have a bit of a trouble grasping, but you will have to do a bit of a Google searches or ask ChatGPT to explain things for you, and that way you will be able to understand things. But it is one of the most technical sections of this magazine, what I've understood so far. Okay, so the first one is quite a big, basically, article named as "Falling Stars, Europe Enters 2025 Looking Especially Vulnerable, New Divisions Could Tear It Apart." It basically discusses Europe in 2025 and beyond, more from a defense and finance point of view and less from a society's point of view, and how it says basically that earlier Europe has been able to deal with different kind of crises, but this crisis that Europe is facing now, especially because of Russia-Ukraine war, things are quite complicated, and with US not behind its back. Okay, so a lot of defense spending is going to be made in the next 5 to 10 years. The defense spending is going to increase, due to which either the taxation is going to increase, or the spending in the other parts of the economies is going to decrease. And things like that have been discussed in much detail in this particular article from various aspects, like the governments in some of the strongest economies of this world, like France, are not stable. It is mentioning that the government is not stable in France now. It is right now, this is the position of Europe, that its stalwart countries like Germany, France, Italy, especially after Britain leaving the EU, it has been a bit of a struggle to keep Europe united. Okay, and this particular article explains all the cons, basically, of what is going to happen in the light of current political context. Again, the charts are beautiful to explain things more simplistically, more in a comprehensive, straightforward fashion. The charts, if you have not been able to understand things from the text, you will be able to understand things from the charts, the same things. Okay, so the next article from here is on the incoming administration labor the point, can America's economy cope with mass deportations? Okay, so basically, as we discussed deportations earlier at the start of this magazine, now this particular article is going to just discuss the finance, the economy, the economical side of things, of what mass deportations would look like from the eyes of economists. The first one, that particular article was also on deportation, but it was from a political perspective. This one discusses it from finance and economical point of view. And the gist of this article, what I can communicate in this shorter period of time by this video, is that basically the author is trying to argument that in the light of the recent data that we have collected from the Obama administration, like for example the deportations that happened during the Obama administration. Huge deportations cost employment. Okay, basically what the one of the elements that is discussed in this particular article is that how much you deport, how the greater the number of people or illegal immigrants you deport from the United States, it is directly proportional to the unemployment. Okay, but not that huge, but you can say 1 out of 10. So it is kind of a 10% increase in unemployment if the illegal immigrants are going to get deported, unemployment is also going to get increased. Okay, so this is one aspect of this particular article, but there will be a lot more if you read it in detail. After that, we have darkly amusing bonds and stocks. China's market takes a fresh beating and the authorities flail in response. Okay, so this one was the most technical article I have read in this particular magazine. It is about on the Chinese bond markets, on how basically there is a phenomena, consumer deflation, that is happening in China because of this housing. There's a housing crisis going on. There is a consumer crisis going on, and China is trying its best to deal with it. But so far, there is not much inflation happening. On the other hand, there is deflation happening. Okay, which is costing the Chinese economy billions of dollars. Okay, in the form of failing investments in the bond markets. We have an article, Don't Believe the Hype. It is basically on the psychological aspect of bond markets investments and stock markets investments. Okay, after that we have greenbacks for Greenland. Okay, so this one is about the Trump's latest point of acquiring Greenland and basically merging it with annexing it with United States. And in this article it has been completely described what will be the valuation of Greenland, basically what amount of money the United States will have to give in order to acquire Greenland, how much is the population, how much taxes do they are already paying, what will be the strategic importance of Greenland for United States, what will be the financial economical importance, pros and cons basically. So quite an interesting article.